minute. We'll give it a little more time. Let's give others a few minutes to join here. We'll get going here in 1 minute. All right, we are going to get started. It is 2 minutes after the hour. Listen, we appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedule today to be with us. We are super excited today to be able to share with you the information we're gonna be sharing. Um, Again, thank you for being here. We know that you guys your time is super valuable, and we are going to be sharing with you some very exciting news. Not only news within the Illustrator, but I'm going to share some other things with you as we get going here today that we are super excited about. And so my name is Rick Barrett. I am the Regional Vice President for Transamerica on the life side. And I cover what we call the Mountain Northwest Territory. And that really includes Colorado, everything west, except for California. I also am super excited today to introduce, some of you might have already met him and trained with him, but the newest addition of our family, of our team here on the Mountain Northwest Territory is Jesse Feldhaus. I'm going to be turning it over to him in just a little bit here, but we are excited to have him. So anyway, I want you to know kind of how excited we are because Jesse, I'll give you a quick, I guess, definition of what he does versus what I do. So you guys know me as getting out in the field, shaking hands, meeting and greeting, coming to your offices. I'm still going to do a lot of that, but I also do virtual training, where Jesse is what we call a hybrid virtual wholesaler. So he is going to be solely doing training virtually, and we're excited because now we have double the efforts, and we're going to be able to get to you guys even more often. We're excited about that. Here's what we're going to do today. I want to make sure that we kind of level set what we're doing, because as we get into this new Life Illustrator, we need you guys to really grasp onto this, right? Some of you, as I talk to you, you're still using what I call the old system, right? My Transware. I need you to understand that is probably going to go away towards the end of the year. Okay, so here's what I want you to understand. That when we do the training today, it's really going to be kind of high level, that 30,000 foot view. All right, and so once we're done with this, if you feel like you still need some training, whether it's one-on-one or you want to get your team together and do some more training, we're gonna have our information. One of the last slides you see today will be our information. So reach out to me, reach out to Jesse. That is what we do all day, every day, and we are more than happy to help get with you or your team to do some additional training. By the way, it's not just the Illustrator that we do. We do all kind of product training, concepts, things like that. So reach out. We're more than happy to help. I want to start out. I'm going to share my screen here, and I want to start out with this right here. And Jesse, can you just tell me? Can you see that? We good? I just want to make sure you see that.
Yep, we're good to go.
Okay. So just a couple of things that we are super excited about. This is the latest, right? So hopefully you received an email just a few weeks ago about what we're calling the IUL risk class upgrade. This opportunity that we have in the fourth quarter. Okay. So a couple things I want you to understand about this is, again, it's only for the fourth quarter, but this is going to provide your clients a rate class that they wouldn't have otherwise qualified for. Okay, and we are simply doing this to help get ourselves up for the end of the year. So the way it works, as you can see here, if your client came in at non-tobacco, we're going to get them a preferred rating. If they came in preferred non-tobacco, they're going to get preferred plus, and so on, right? If they come in at preferred elite, just be thankful. That's the highest. It can't go up any further than that. But just a couple of things here. I want to
Hey, Rick, I think you actually hit mute on accident.
that better?
There
We
you go.
good?
You're good back.
I
You're back.
appreciate it. All right. So if you think about the eligibility, the requirements, okay, just keep this in mind. It's only for the IUL, so FFIUL, FCIUL, okay, up to that $2 million death benefit. A couple things to keep in mind. It is only for the base product. Okay, so a lot of times we're going to add, for example, the long-term care rider. That has to go through underwriting. We're not going to upgrade the long-term care, right? This is just for the base product, and it does qualify if for those foreign nationals, those I-10 applications. If they meet the criteria, they are going to be eligible, and then the case must qualify for a non-tobacco rate class. In other words, if it's substandard, table A, table B, they will not get the upgrade. It has to be at a non-tobacco rate class or better. Okay. But again, we're excited about that. We've already upgraded thousands of policies just in the month of October. You can see the key dates on the right. Started October 1st, and it's going to go through December 31st. So make sure that you are taking advantage of that before the end of the year. All right. Let's get into here. We're going to start here, and I want to make sure we talk a little bit about our commitment, the innovation that has taken place. For those of you who have been around for a few years and been using Transamerica for the last couple of years, you have seen the progress, right? There's a lot of good things that are going on, and I just want to mention a couple of them as we get started here, because if you for example, if you've sold the FFIUL, you know that for example, we've lowered the charges, right? Those puck charges. So when you talk about those cash values in the earlier year, they're going to be higher in those earlier years because of those lower puck charges. We increased the critical illness rider, right? It used to be 500,000 on the FFIUL. Now it's 1.5 million. So your clients later on in life, when they go need those benefits, they're going to have potentially access to more money in their back pockets. For years, we've been talking about e-delivery, right, and DocuSign. That is finally here. It's something that probably the number one asked on the list from you guys is, hey, when are you going to get DocuSign? And for those that may not have used Transamerica in the past 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, know that is here. Okay, so your clients we can e-deliver those policies, and they can DocuSign in those signing ceremonies. We've upgraded our foreign national program, specifically the I-10, right? So if you have I-10 clients, which I think personally is one of the, I think we can do a much better job there. But some of the things, for example, we can go up to $2 million on the face amount now. We can add long-term care, chronic and critical illness riders on I-10 clients. If you were to ask me 3 months ago if we could do that, the answer would be no. Today, the answer is yes, right? Those D&E countries, for those of you that are familiar with how that works, the countries are all coded. And those D&E countries always used to be in decline. I'll give you an example real quick. One of the most frequently asked countries that were asked about is Venezuela. Was always an D or E country, always a decline. We couldn't even consider it. Well, today it's not only we're not only going to prove it, but we can prove it at a standard rate or better case by case basis. So make sure you're kind of paying attention to all these updates. A couple of things that are coming real quick, then we'll get started. You should see in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see an announcement being made that we're going to be having these new annual statements made available to you and your clients. To me, that's a big deal, right? If me as a wholesaler, if I can't understand our annual statements, chances are pretty good you might not understand, and therefore your client might understand. These new annual statements are going to be pretty. They're going to be slick looking. They're going to, and I think most important, they're going to be easier to understand, not only for you but for your clients. So look out for that. And then I think one of the most exciting things that's coming probably within the next, I would say first quarter next year, we're going to have case managers at Transamerica. Again, something that's been asked for a very long time. So when you call in about a certain policy, a certain case, you're going to be talking to the same team about that. You're not going to be transferred around 9 or 10 different times trying to figure out what's going on with one simple little term policy, right? So case managers are coming. So a lot of exciting stuff that we're going to be introducing, and look, more to come with that being said. All right, so let's kind of jump into this. We talked about some of the commitment, some of the innovation. I want to make sure that you understand who Lard Freeze is, just real quick. If you look down there, he is the CEO, the chairman of Aegon, right? So if you think about WFG and Transamerica being sister companies, and talk in terms of WFG, our upline is Aegon. Well, Lard Freeze kind of runs the entire thing, right? And you see the quote that he made here about a year ago. Our strategic plan involves making significant investment in our life insurance business with the goal of becoming a top-tier provider in the term, whole, and index universal life insurance segments. Guys, what that means is everything that you've seen happen over the last 6 months, year, everything that you're going to see in the next 6 months, year, is because of this new leadership team. It all starts with Lard. That means you're going to see that investment, that significant investment being kind of poured our way so we can give you guys the tools you need to succeed. Okay, so a lot of really good things coming. If you kind of taken the last 2 years, hopefully you've noticed that Transamerica has brought in top talent, right, from across the industry, really to lead this strategic vision that we're talking about. Guys, we are committed. Here's what we want to do. We want to become a top 5 player in the industry within the next 3 to 5 years. Okay, that's going to take a lot, right? And you can see some of the things that we're doing to make that happen. We need to tap into that industry-leading distribution to drive growth. That is you guys, right? When you think about the FFIUL, you're going to see a slide here in a second. I'll just talk about it right now. You're going to see the FFIUL being the number 1 selling IUL in the industry for 9 straight quarters. Okay, that's a big deal. There's a few reasons for that. The number 1 reason, in my mind, this is my opinion, but I think it's pretty spot on. The number 1 reason why the FFIUL is number 1 in the industry is because of you guys. There is not a better field force in the industry, in the entire U.S. and Canada for that matter, that does what you guys do. Going out and helping the everyday average American family, nobody does it better. Okay, we're going to own and deliver an all-weather product portfolio, one that's going to really deliver solutions that meet not only your needs, but your clients' needs. And then my opinion is what needs to happen the most and where we're going to get to is we need to provide excellent service and that focused execution. Really improving our agent and customer experience is top priority in my mind, and you're going to see that. You're going to see that happen. Okay, some of the numbers, and we talk about this all the time, but look, at the end of the day, your clients you're sitting across the table, kneecap to kneecap, trying to figure out whether they want to do business with you, right? Have these things in your back pocket, right? Show them some of these numbers, right? Because I've been in your shoes. It makes a difference when you can look them in the eye and let them know that you've been working with a company that's been in business for over 110 years and has the numbers that you see here. Look, 404 billion in revenue generating investments, right? Almost 13. Hang on. Sorry about that. I think we're good. But you see almost 13 million policies in force, right? Almost 11 million in, customers. If you add Aegon to that, right, our parent company, then we're about 30 million customers worldwide. That's a big deal. Okay, and then you see 47 billion paid in insurance, retirement, and annuity claims. Guys, these are numbers that you want to make sure you know about and can share with your clients. Look, Transamerica, we tell the story all the time. We're one of the first carriers to really enter that IUL market, right? If you think about what we have racked up, the experience that we've racked up over the years.
Hey, Rick, are you there? Eric, are you here? Did Rick lose connection? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me in the chat? Okay. It looks like Rick lost connection for some reason. So, to build off what he's saying, we've had the top selling IUL product for 4 consecutive years. What we can do now with the new Life Illustrator is going to be tremendous. So I'm just going to dive right into it. I'll basically show you what he was going to show you to start, how to get to the online Illustrator version. All right. And then from there, we'll get right into illustrating, as that was going to be me who illustrates anyway. So it was about to be the transition to me covering this. So again, my name is Jesse Feldhaus. I am the virtual regional wholesaler for this territory, the Mountain and Northwest region. So as Rick said, I'll step in anytime Rick, has a technology issue like this, or anytime Rick's traveling and you guys need some virtual training going forward. So we'll let Rick finish up basically exactly what he was saying, and then I'll jump back on.
Yeah, thank you. That's why he's the virtual, and I'm the guy that gets out and sees you, because the technology is not on my side. But Jesse, appreciate you stepping in there for a second. And,
of course.
And let me just get back where we were here, and we'll get you going here. Just a couple more things for me. So this is where we kind of want to talk about today, right? We have all these cool things going on, and this is where it boils down to. This is what we need you guys to understand and really want you to focus in on today. And again, like I said, when we get done here, we don't want you. There's a lot to learn, right? We don't want you thinking, hey, this is stressful. We are here for you. So we want to point out some of the basics today, and then we'll get you on call separately to dive deeper into the software. Okay, but look, as an agent, if you think about what your most effective sales tool is, it really could be the illustration software, right? And how that performs. That's why we're excited, or we launched the Life Illustrator a couple months ago. It's not only easy to navigate and personalize, but it will help reinforce that purchase decision for your client through what we call this brand strength, through the Transamerica strength. Okay. There's one other thing I want to see if I can share real quick here, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jesse. We'll get going and dive into this. But this is something that came out from Forbes magazine. In fact, it was just 2 weeks ago. Okay, just a few weeks ago. And I just want to share. They do these top 10 lists, and you can see here in the yellow, Transamerica has the most accurate illustrations according to this news outlet. Forbes released its autumn list of the 10 best life insurers and scrutinized the accuracy of the companies, the brochure illustrations. The news outlet ranked Transamerica of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, as the top insurer in the category of reliable policy illustrations. This means you're less likely to be taken by surprise by lower cash value gains than you expected, said Forbes. So, guys, you are in the right place with the right company. That means a lot to us. I hope it means a lot to you, because look, at the end of the day, we're trying to do the absolute best thing for the client. And when you can tell them that our illustrations are the most accurate out there, that's a pretty good position to be in. All right. So, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, Eric, or Rick, I should be able to just share, so you shouldn't have to do anything.
All right. So are you going to go into my WFG to kind of show them how to get there? Can we do that?
Yep. Yep. Let me just put in my login, as I was already on the Illustrator, but I'll put in the login. But yeah, thank you guys for, joining today. It's great to meet everyone. I know I'm not seeing anyone's face, but, I've been chatting with a lot of you in the chat, answering as many questions as fast as I can. But yeah, so I'm going to share my screen. I just moved up my screen, so that's why I'm looking up here. Rick, can you share this, or can you see the screen now?
Well, you can. Yeah, you're good to go.
Perfect. The MyWFG is where the online version is. It's also where you would download the offline version. So I sent the MyWFG link in the portal as we were chatting, in the chat as everyone was asking questions. I also sent over the Agent Central link. The Agent Central is where you could go to. I know people were asking about where this material is and where we can find recordings. So I put that in there as well. But when you're in the MyWFG for the online version, you're going to use what I call your best friend in this portal, and that's the toolbox. Okay. In the toolbox, you will have everything inside. You can save 10 favorites. I'm not going to show you this today, but if you don't have the one you're looking for, you just hit customize. There'll be green plus marks, and you can add it in. But you are going to go straight to the TA Life Illustrator when we're ready to illustrate. All right. So for those of you who are familiar with Transware, it is just like Transware where it's going to pop into a new window. All right. So don't stress. All you have to do is click here to continue. All right. So again, make sure that your pop-up or your pop-up blockers are not restricted on your browser settings, whichever browser system that you're using. But now I'll just dive right into it. So as you can see, there's a lot of new things going on here. The format's a lot different than Transware. But first things first, always add in your producer information. So the first time you get in here, you're going to hit producer in the top right, add in that information, the important stars, and save it to the database. Now, over here on product and concept, it is going to preset to the FFIUL, which is what we're going to do today. But if you hit change, you will see we have both IULs and both terms already added in. As Rick said, we're going to be sunsetting Transware, so the lifetime whole life and the final expense will be carried over either the end of November or end of December. So very smart to start familiarizing yourself with this platform. But first things first, right up front, that's brand new. You are going to see revised illustration as well as policy number. Most of the time, we're going to be skipping this. It is only for pending cases when new business is requesting a new policy or a new illustration because they were approved other than applied for. All right. I am going to do Colorado today because that's where I am. But we are owner driven on signatures. So wherever the owner resides is where the application needs to be. I will leave it as valued client for names similar to a John Doe. Now is always going to be the illustration date will always be now, so you won't be able to change that. Backdating is right up front. Not a huge proponent on backdating because it is going to increase that first premium. Backdating is also known as save age, so be careful here, but it is right up front, new tool. Issue age and date, or issue age and gender is very self-explanatory. I do highly suggest putting in the full date of birth simply because it's going to check the math, but also it's not a complete illustration with just the number age, right? You need the full date of birth. Now, today I'm going to be doing a young, healthy female, but we do have, or you will see that it is preset to preferred elite. All right. So we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver though. Preferred elite, your clients need to be in exceptional health to receive this risk class. So be very careful. I'm going to go with preferred today. All right. But we do have preferred elite, preferred plus, preferred standard, which is also known as non-tobacco, preferred tobacco, and then tobacco, which is also known as standard tobacco. All right. Now, this flat extra will pop out. I'm not going to go over that today, but it is all determined by an underwriter. You're rarely ever going to have to illustrate the flat extra yourself. So if you do have questions about that, feel free to reach out to the sales desk or consult with those underwriters, right? Now, if your client doesn't get preferred or standard, there is a possibility they could get a table rating. I'm just going to point out a couple things here real quick. This is most often related to someone being a little bit overweight, all right? But this is determined by the underwriter as well. So if you have questions when you meet with the client, they may be overweight or they have some health concerns, please reach out to the underwriting team and ask for those risk assessments. I do just want to point out that we can only go down to table H, okay? So J, L, and P are all automatic declines, all right? But again, like I said, I'm going to go with the young, healthy female at preferred, and we'll get going now. So on the left-hand side is where you work through the case design, similar to a lot of illustration systems I'm sure you guys have used in the past. But the policy design is the first step. So this is the spinning wheel of this whole thing, right? We have some very good resources on how to help you guys with the first two categories, all right? So the life insurance test is what creates this in being a tax advantage vehicle, right? You have to choose your guideline premium test, first your cash value accumulation test. Now, we're going to use guideline premium about 90% of the time. And in that Agent Central that I sent a little bit earlier, under products, you guys can review some guides to go over this. I won't hit on it today, but you have your guideline versus cash value, when to use which, term versus perm, and all of that, as well as level, increasing, graded, when to choose those options. All right. That is in the Agent Central under products below the underwriting. So you have all your products and you have overview, client guide, agent guides for each, right? You just hit learn more. It will go over those things, level versus increasing. Now, today we have a young, healthy client. We're willing to be aggressive with her. So we're going to start her off increasing. All right. I'm also going to start with the guideline premium test, since that is going to be what we're most commonly using. Now, you can see that this is preset for a premium solve, since the death benefit is placed in. I would like to say, it is a tiny bit more accurate to solve by budget, simply because when we have the budget, we can use different solves to find the max death benefit that they can go off that off that budget, and the minimum death benefit. All right. So I do have a cool note that I will send in the chat. If you guys don't find this useful, you definitely don't need to use it. But my manager, Eric, who's on here today, showed me this, and it changed my life, because I used to do this on a sticky note. It'll make a lot more sense as we go through and compare the three solves that we're going to run today. But if I know the client's budget, I'm going to use face solves to determine how much insurance the budget will buy. All right. So I'll get into these solves in a little bit, but let me show you the rest of the system before we actually start solving and calculating and doing all that. So as you can see, like I said, we are set for a premium solve since the death benefit's in, and under the premium, we have the target. We're basically going to flip-flop and pretend that we know the budget for this client. All right. So instead of having the death benefit in, we use the drop down. since we're going to be doing a face solve. So under face amount, we're going to select target. So that's the first one we're going to be doing. I'll get to it in more detail in a second. But we can't solve for target. So we do have these new cool calendars. This is basically the most new tool from Transware. That's going to be how you illustrate or build the spinning wheel differently, right? So when we hit the calendar, it expands that row. All right, so I'm going to erase target and put in 500. We're going to illustrate $500 a month simply for easy math. As you can see, it is set from 1 to max. What this means is year 1 to max. Usually max is going to be max is whenever endowment is, right? Or when the policy is going to lapse. Usually that's going to be 121. But remember from the beginning, our client's 35 years old. She's young and healthy. She probably isn't going to want to pay forever. So instead of max, I'm going to erase that and put in an age, right? So I'm going to put in age 65. If you have clients who want to pay for 10 years, then you're just going to type in 1 to 10. So this is year 1 to year 10 for payments. But I am going to do age 65, so we have to add in the A and put in 65. Now you hit OK to basically lock that in. So we are doing $500 a month for the target to start. Okay. But since our client is young and healthy, we want to start her increasing because she's willing to be aggressive. We're willing to let that death benefit grow, maximize it a little bit. But we're going to want to stop increasing when she stops funding in. So we stop paying into the policy at 65, right? The reason why I chose age 65 is because that's when we hope to retire. So that age can be adjusted. I'm just using age 65 for today because that's when we all hope to retire, right? To switch from increasing the level at the same time, I'm going to use the calendar. So the reason why we're going to switch from increasing the level when they stop funding in is because we don't want the cost of insurance to keep rising with the rising death benefit once they stop funding into the case. So we're going to use the calendar again, right? Instead of increasing to the max, we're going to do the exact same thing, just switching it to age 65. Now we have to add in the level. So we use the drop downs to add in level, and we're going to switch this to the year right after age 66. And to get the drop down back, we go to the drop down and hit max. Or to get max back, we use the drop down and go max. So we're basically leveling off at 65, or increasing to 65 and leveling off for the remainder of the policy. While we're also paying in $500 a month to age 65. All right, but before I calculate again, as you can see here, we have a new auto facial reduction. This was not in Transware. I don't like how it displays in the illustration particularly, so I would leave that off. The lump sum is now down under the premium instead of being on top with Transware because we had a lot of confusion with that. So with your initial lump sum, this means someone has a lot of cash hanging around. They want to front load the cash value and have it pumping or accumulating really good in those early years. So we may dump in a lump sum. All right, that's going to come with that initial premium. If it's a very large lump sum, we may switch to a cash value accumulation test. All right. Now, the 1035 exchange is under the lump sum. So 1035 exchange is usually going to be related to replacing over a policy, right? Exchanging a policy from a different carrier or even with Transamerica. So when we do this, we just hit yes, and it's going to be a reactive question. So you're going to need to find out the exchange amount, cost basis, and when that client's receiving the 1035. They'll be able to provide you that information. But if you have multiple policies or multiple exchanges coming over, we can do up to 5. So you just keep adding them in. I am going to leave those off for today. But last thing here in our policy design, again, this is our spinning wheel, is avoid max. So just like Transware, I would highly suggest leaving this on. It's going to be checked off for you. We don't want to overfund the policy when we're illustrating for our clients, so it turns into a modified endowment contract. We want to keep this as a tax advantage vehicle. So we're going to leave avoid MEC on, all right? Now, again, like I said, before I start calculating, I'll show you the rest of the system. So under case design, we're going to keep working each category. I'm going to cover most of this, but not everything, all right? So first step after the policy design is your index accounts. All right, so you have global, S&P, and your basic. The global, I'm a huge proponent of. You're going to be spreading those eggs. While with the S&P, you have them in one basket under the U.S. stocks. All right. This is not one size fits all, though. So if you want to do 50-50, 70-30, whatever it may be, you can definitely do so. It just has to equal 100% at the end of the day. Now, I would always illustrate the maximum rate of 7%. So I'm going to keep this as is for today. Income and targeting, this is how you can show those withdrawals in loans. It is just for illustration purposes. We are going to leave this off for today. I'm not going to focus here. We can focus this on, future presentations going forward and more tight-knit groups. Then we have our riders, going to be very similar to Transware, just formatted differently. All right. So first things first, right up front, you're going to have your terminal illness. That is one of our living benefits that is built into all of our policies here at Transamerica. All right. Then you're going to see overloan protection rider is built in every time we're using the guideline premium test. Okay. Now the concierge planning rider this is for our funeral services rider. This is a partnership we have with Everest. But be careful here. Make sure you're checking those guides in Agent Central because states like Washington and Oregon are not yet approved for the concierge planning rider. So make sure your state does offer this rider before you promote it to your client. Okay. The concierge planning rider is a free rider or available free rider for anything over $250,000 death benefit on the FFIUL only. Okay. Now, the other two living benefits is the chronic illness and the critical illness. I see Alex says they can't see my screen. Rick, can you still see the screen?
I couldn't figure out what he might be talking about because I can see it fine.
Okay. Alex, you might have had something pop in front of it or hit the minus button and close the screen somehow. But it seems like everyone else can see it as of right now.
Yeah, looks like everybody's good.
Okay. I'm going to keep on going. Alex, we can set up a separate side webinar for this. So we'll be in contact. But for the living benefits, you will have the chronic and critical illness rider as well. But you have to elect for those. So you have to elect for those at application. They cannot be added on later because they do come with additional underwriting to be approved for. But all three living benefits are free until you use them. Okay. So I would highly suggest adding them on at time of application. You'll have all your other riders here, which I won't touch on much, but there is a long-term care rider at the bottom that I want to point out. We are very competitive here. We are one of two carriers in the entire industry that offer an increasing long-term care rider. So it's going to grow with that cash value, just like your increasing death benefit, right? But it's also a more affordable option. The standalone long-term care, we do see on average $1,000 higher target premium with the rider than without. So you're making more money and offering another good solution to your clients. But with the long-term care rider, most states, if not all states, do require that you have the health insurance license to offer the rider. Okay. So if you do not have that license, make sure you check into that before promoting the rider. But one thing with the long-term care rider is we would need to take off chronic. Okay. We cannot have long-term care and chronic together. They both deal with the daily activities of living, so we cannot stack those benefits. All right. For today, I'm going to leave off the long-term care and leave the free living benefit riders since long-term care does cost additional. And I will slide over to the output design. So kind of the last step here in our process. Okay. So the output design is how you pick the pages. The input summary is going to be checked for you. I'd highly suggest leaving that as is with the input summary. And I see some people have questions. So we'll leave the questions at the end. So that we can get through everything. But yeah, I'll get to everyone's questions here at the end, or as many as we can.
Keep going. I'm trying to answer them as well, so keep going. You're good.
Perfect. But yeah, the input summary, again, you can mirror the illustration, so I highly suggest leaving it in. The tax bracket, you're going to ignore. most of the time, the tax bracket is only needed to be found out, or you only need the client's tax bracket if you're going to use that personal accumulation strategy. So I'm not going to cover this today, but most of the time we're going to be ignoring the tax bracket. Now, I would always add in the why Transamerica in the snapshot, but also you will see here a new cool tool called the cover photo. So this is where we can really pull on the heartstrings of our client, right? Tell the story right on the front page with multiple different options. You can view those options here to make sure that they actually relate to your client, right? So there's hobbies, there's professionals, there's also family options or just traditional Transamerica. Now, we did a young, healthy female in Colorado. The cliche here where I live, we all like to, go hiking or skiing, right? Now, I'm going to go back to the policy time. I know this took a while, but now we're going to start solving. We're going to use our note that I showed you earlier. So if I could have your undivided attention, it's going to be moving a lot better or a little bit quicker now. So again, I sent this in earlier. You do not have to use this note by any means, but we are going to do the target face solve to start, okay? So the target face solve is more focused on death benefit coverage. So it's going to solve for a higher face amount where the client is just paying in the target premium into the case, all right? The second one we do is guideline, and the third one we'll do is min non-mec. So again, one thing to point out that I didn't earlier that I'll touch on real quick, we do have a new optimal switch here, all right? So the optimal switch is one of those death benefit options you can select for illustration purposes only, okay? So what I mean by that is you cannot select optimal switch on an application, okay? So you will still choose level, increasing, or graded. Now, optimal switch means that the client can optimally design their death benefit over time. So instead of having an increasing death benefit forever, since the cost of insurance would continue to rise, they may optimally switch the death benefit from increasing to level at a desired age, okay? Now, remember, we did $500 a month till age 65. Our client's 35 years old. She's a female at preferred. We're going to start with that target, and we're increasing to age 65 as well, okay? So since she stopped paying at 65, I'm going to increase the death benefit to 65 and level it off. I'm pretty sure I already showed this, but it switched off on me. So I'm going to switch this back to level at age 66 and max. Oh, whoops. Level. All right. So we're leveling off at 65. We're paying into 65. We use those calendars to expand those rows. Now we hit calculate, and we're solving for that target face off. We're going to see a high death benefit to start because that's the focus with the target. And you will see it will start in the non-guaranteed current ledger. All right. So the non-guaranteed current ledger is your summary from Transware. Now we do have a cool snapshot here. I would highly suggest starting here. It's going to show you the initial face. Again, very high. Our initial premium. We're paying off the target premium this time, and it will show you it doesn't lapse or endow too early. As you can see, it would be 121. So we work this illustration just like any other illustration or projection, right? It is based off the 7%. We selected the global, but it's age, premium, cumulative premium, the policy value, which is what the policy is worth if it were to lapse in that year, the cash value, and the death benefit. All right. So first thing we do is we go down to age 65. Okay. We want to make sure the premium stopped. The total premium was $180,000. We do see that they paid in $180,000, but they grew $345,000 in cash value. Right. So almost double. Tremendous. Now they also grew over $1 million in death benefit. That was the focus here, right? We wanted to maximize the death benefit using the target face, okay? So what I'm going to do using that note is copy age 66 and go right back. Okay, so I paste it in here. I do expand these last two categories because that's your cash value and your death benefit at age 66. And then I'm going to place in the initial face of 681, all right? So we copied and pasted age 66. They put in 180,000. They got 363,000 in cash, so they doubled that cash value, and they got over $1 million in death benefit. The The next solve we're going to do is the guideline, more focus on cash value. All right. It takes the budget and solves for a lower face amount where the client is aggressively funding the case with the guideline annual premium. Okay. So we're going to go back to the case design. All right. And we're going to make one switch, but 2 clicks. So I'm going to switch target to guideline. All right. So target to guideline, and I'm going to calculate again. Now, since we're focused on cash value, our death benefit's going to start lower. So for those states that do approve the concierge planning rider, you're going to lose that rider because in our snapshot here, you can see we're starting at 161,000 now. Okay. So when this message log comes up, you just scroll down in the reports to get back to the non-guaranteed ledger. Now it's going to pop up our summary. We're going to do the same thing, check our snapshot. We're paying off the guideline annual premium this time. And we scroll back down to 66. Again, we copy 66. We can see we paid in 180,000. The premium stopped. And we go back to our notes. So now we can start comparing. Oops. And here you have a middle ground, really, right? So in this second option, we're more focused on cash value. So as you can see, it grew almost 120,000 more in cash value, or almost 100,000 more in cash value. Then, but the difference is it only grew up to 600,000, which is still tremendous compared to the million here when we were focused on death benefit. So quick comparison of a death benefit focus versus a cash value focus right up front. The third step in our process is the min non-MEC. So this is the max funded scenario, okay? In this scenario, we're going to switch to CVAT, the cash value accumulation test. So one of those new unique clients, all right? So it takes the budget and solves for the lowest face amount where the client is funding the case with the 7-pay premium, okay? Now, when I say 7-pay premium, that doesn't mean they're only paying in 7 years. This is just our max funded title, right? Our max funded scenario. Now, once we finish this third step, or by running these 3 steps, right, we're going to be able to determine how much insurance the budget will buy from the lowest death benefit to the highest, right? 681 was our highest death benefit. Now we're going to be solving for our lowest death benefit because we're max funding. So again, I'm going to go back to case design here, and we're going to make 1 or 2 changes, 4 clicks, okay? So now guideline's going to go to the minimum non-MEC. All right, so we're max funding the case. And since we're doing that, instead of the guideline premium test, we're also going to go to cash value accumulation test. All right. Now we calculate one more time. We check our snapshot. We're going to lose the concierge planning rider again because it's less than 250,000. You can see we're starting at 105,000. Now, our focus is cash value. We're paying off the 7-pay premium. All right. So, as we scroll down, we're going to go to 66. Everything stayed the same. We paid in 180,000 in total. That was $6,000 per year, which was $500 per month for 30 years. The client was 35 years old. She was a female. She was preferred. All right. So all the parameters stayed the same. We just changed the solve. Okay. So again, I copy and paste 66, and now we can really start comparing these 3 different options. So the initial face amount this time was our minimum or our lowest, right, in our range. So we found a range based off of all those parameters in that budget of 681 to 105K, right? But let's compare these real quick. So with the minimum non-MEC, we grew over 700,000 in cash value, right? So almost 120,000 more than the guideline option. So the guideline was focused on cash value. This was focused even more on cash value. We started a little bit lower. This should say 105, sorry. Started a little bit lower on death benefit, but we grew more cash value, or more death benefit again, right? So it grew more death benefit, but also it grew about 7,000 more in cash value. So by max funding, we grew a little bit more cash value, but much more death benefit than that second option, the guideline solve, which was focused on cash value as well. Just by starting the death benefit a little bit lower at 105 versus 161. Super cool. But again, the top option, the target, is if they're focused on maximizing the death benefit, they know they're going to have more children. They want cash value as a bonus. again, we still doubled what they put in at 363 when we only put in 180,000 each scenario. But if they want to be more aggressive, then they would go with 2 or 3, right? But one last thing to show you guys is our specify all. So maybe your client says 681 is too high, 161 and 105 is too low to start, right? We don't have a specify all option like we did with Transware, okay? So instead of using the drop downs, now we need to use the calendars to specify all. So instead of having the min non-mec in there, I'm going to use the calendar to erase it and put in 250,000. The reason why I chose 250,000 for those states that are approved for the rider, they can get the concierge planning rider plus all 3 living benefits if we start at 250,000 death benefit. We aren't max accumulating anymore, so we go back to guideline premium test and we calculate one more time. So we just specified all 250,000 for $500 a month. It's taking a second to load here this time. But as you can see, now we start at 250,000. You can check your snapshot. You can go down and compare. So this one, you have $670,000 for the death benefit versus $700,000 with the max funded, but it started higher, so you got all 4 living benefits. It also grew $446,000 in cash value, which is tremendous. Not as much as those 2 and 3 options, but still very well, right? So that's how we do the specify all, right? Now, if you want to see the actual illustration to show you some of those benefits, I'm going to touch on that. So you go right into the cover page, all right? So when we go into the cover page, instead of the non-guaranteed current ledger, it's going to bring it up. So we have a new quick save tool right in the top corner. You can save all these illustrations. So if you're running 4 like I just did, we could have gone to the cover page and saved each one of them. If you hit share, you can now email, print, and save them, or go right to the iGo eApp. So this is our really cool new tool, the iGo eApp with the illustrator, right? So it's going to bring over the illustration with it, okay? So you don't have to sign the illustration separate and attach it anymore. It's going to be one signature together, okay? Also, it's going to carry over name, agent information, date of birth, and some of those things, so it pre-fills those categories for you, so saving time there as well. If you want to review these illustrations, you hit full screen in the top right corner. And now you can start showing your client by zooming in, doing whatever you need to do. But remember, I want to point out that cover page. So, right, I chose hiking. I'm relating to client pulling on those heartstrings. But the cover page is super cool and easy now. It's going to show you the product, the client name, and the agent, right? I'm going to go through a couple pages, but not touch on everything, just some of our really cool new improvements. So page 2 is super awesome, super simple. It's going to show you the initial face amount, the riders that the policy has. It's going to show you the initial premium. It's going to show you the client, as well as additional details and the index we chose. Even better, it's going to have a QR code for them to go right to the FFIUL sales material. So page 2 is awesome. Page 3 is the one I told you to add in the output design. This is our Why Transamerica page, right? We've been in the industry for over 100 years. We also are the first carrier to ever have an IUL back in 1997, as Rick mentioned. And as Rick mentioned, we are a leader in the foreign national business. So we have been in foreign national since 1998. All right. That Why Transamerica page also talks about claims that we paid out at the bottom and by the numbers, just like Rick showed earlier. Page 4 is going to touch on, why it's a multi-purpose product, right? Why there are multiple benefits with it. So your tax-free death benefit, right? Your downside protection, which I'll get to. Your tax-free loans, tax-free earnings, right? Tax-free transfers, as well as your living benefits and that concierge planning rider for those states that are approved. Page 5 is the other one I told you guys to add. This is our snapshot. So if we added cumulative income, it'd be right on top in purple, but it is going to show you 10-year increments of how the cash value may grow based off of the projections. But for the bread and butter, page 9 is where we have all assumptions. So we've condensed this so you don't have to scroll through multiple pages. On the green, on the left side, the green is like what I like to call our zombie apocalypse. If we're sitting at the floor year after year, right? Not going to be focused there, right? It's not very realistic. It's going to endow very early. Okay. The blue is our basic interest, rarely ever going to be used. I'm not going to focus here too often. And the purple is what we just ran for all of our illustrations. This is your global or your S&P, your 7%. So you can see here, that's what you're selling is the purple. But one last thing to show you guys, so we can get to a couple questions. If you go down to page 25, you'll have your historical index return. So if you get any pushback on the numbers or the projections, then you can come here. As you can see on our 20-year average, the global has an 8.15 return and the S&P has an 8.05. So immediately you can tell your clients right away, it only illustrates a 7%. So historically they're doing better. So the numbers will be better, right? Now you can see the cap for the S&P is 12 and the cap for global is 13. So a little bit higher potential with the global, but our floor is 0.75 for both. So very competitive with that downside protection, right? Most carriers are going to have a 0% floor, and while 0 is our hero, 0.75 is actually going to keep us alive. So very competitive there. But to actually read this, and I know I'm going a little fast right now, but to actually read this, the light shaded blue is how the S&P performed that year. The dark shaded blue is how we credited in that year. Okay, same for global. Light shaded how it performed. Dark shaded is how we credited. As you can see, we hit the cap 13% 9 times since 2003. So super cool. But yeah, that's what I had for everyone. I'm going to hand it back over to Rick. I know we have a few minutes for questions and we kind of pushed it to only 3 minutes left. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, Rick, I'm going to pass it over to you. Thank you everyone for the time and listening to me today. And I look forward to working with all of you in the near future.
Jesse,
and some
awesome.
of you.
Yeah,
and some of you, Margie, I see out there. So some of you that I've already met, I'm sure we'll be continuing to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we are right at the top of the hour. I'll see if we can, Jesse, maybe as I'm talking, you can kind of scroll through. I don't know that we missed any questions. And here's what I will tell. Again, I get a question, what's the dark blue versus purple? Again, it's just the S&P 500. Actually, what it did, the lighter is what it did, and then what the darker is what we credited that year. So that's kind of what that means.
Yep. So light blue is what it did. Dark blue is how we credited for S&P. Light purple is what it did. Dark purple is how the global was credited from Transamerica.
And I want to get one more.
And then the toolbox is in the MyWFG. So if we go back to MyWFG, it is going to make me sign in again. But yeah, the toolbox is in the MyWFG. So if you're trying to get to this.
Yeah, and we can, again, do you see my screen, Jesse? We good? You see our email addresses there?
Okay, yeah, so I see your screen now. Perfect. Yep.
Okay. All right, guys, listen, we want to, again, thank you for being here. Again, like I mentioned up front, this was a lot of information in an hour's time. We know we can't get through everything, and a lot of you might be kind of scratching your head, but hopefully you at least love the new design. Not only the input pages, but the output pages are awesome. They're beautiful. Your clients are going to love them. As he mentioned, you can customize to your clients' needs. Please reach out to us. There's my name and the email address with Jesse's name and his email address. We want to hear from you. We want to be part of your team's training, whether it's live or virtually. Get us on a call and let us help you. Again, it doesn't have to be illustration training. We do all kinds of product training. There's all different kinds of concept, from business insurance to juvenile policies to foreign national, all kinds of things that we can help with. We want to help. So we're going to be doing this on a regular basis. Maybe every couple of weeks, we're going to introduce a new product or strategy that we can kind of come out and show you how to work, how to use. and we'll definitely get back on for some more illustration training. But reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you and get on some of your calls. So Jessica, thanks for what you did. It was awesome. And thanks for jumping in when with the technical issue. That's why we got a team. So appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. See you guys.